2. Amber Laska. Things to do today, unprioritize. Piano practice, 1.5 hours. Ballet practice, 1 hour. Math test corrections to bring up grade from 94. Meditation need new mantra. Download English Sanskrit translation. It's speakable. Make farewell card for Randy option. Work on book with Tori. Work on Serenity Day project with Tori. Sleep over at Tori's unconfirmed. Tori might sleep over here. I frown at the list. And then change optional to mandatory. Maybe Randy's not my favorite person. I think he's a troublemaker. But I feel terrible for anybody who has to move away from Serenity. No other place could ever be as good. The scene where he breaks the news keeps replaying itself in my head. He's being sent to live with his grandparents in Colorado. You mean my mind can barely take it in, you're leaving Serenity? He nods grimly. They have a small farm, and they're getting older, so they need some help. He's devastated. And what about Ellie? He's still in the health clinic from that weird accident. I shudder just thinking about it. You're shut away with no visitors, and when you finally get out, the first thing you hear is that your best friend is moving away. I can only imagine what it would be like to lose Tori, who I've seen every single day, as long as I can remember. Can't your grandparents hire somebody? Tori asks. Randy shrugs. My mom says they can't afford to. It's just a small place. We stare at him like he's speaking a foreign language. None of us has ever met anybody with money problems. The plastics factory is always busy, and everyone who wants a job has one. We're not rich in Serenity, but we're all really comfortable. I mean, we know about poor people, but that kind of thing happens in other places. It's the saddest thing I've ever heard, not being able to afford a house or even food to eat. One time Tori and I saw this movie where a family gets their power shut off because they can't pay their electric bill. It's hard to imagine that situation in Serenity. Maybe you don't pay your water bill, so you can't fill up your pool. But here, there's plenty of money to go around, so everybody pays their bills. It's just another reason why I'd never leave Serenity until college. Of course, we're too tiny to have our own university though. I wish we did. Even then, I intend to stay as close to home as possible. At the University of New Mexico at Taos. I'm careful to keep my interests and hobbies limited to things you can major in at Taos, like English, music, and dance. That's why I gave up learning Chinese last year. No sense in wasting my time on something that isn't going to go anywhere. It seems to me that they're ignoring an obvious solution. Why don't your grandparents sell their farm and come to live here? He looks miserable. It's already decided. I'm going. Poor you, laughs Malik brother, the doctor's son. You might actually have some fun in the big bad world out there. Can you be serious for once? I'm so not in the mood for this. What do you consider fun? Living in a crumbling, dangerous city where people are packed in like sardines? Malik smirks at me. He always manages to look like nothing bothers him. You'd be surprised, Laska. And you know so much about the world. I shoot back. With your C+ average and your interest in, I pretend to rack my brain. All right. Absolutely nothing. He seems amused. Have you ever been anywhere but here? You haven't either. True, he admits, but the minute I'm old enough, I'm out of here. NYC. All the way, baby! He always calls it by its initials NYC. Don't say that, pleads Hector Amani, Malik's #1 fan. It's not like Serenity out there. People take advantage of you. Malik has made an art form out of strong-arming Hector into doing things for him. When it comes to taking advantage, New York City would have a hard time coming up with someone as good as Malik. Malik shifts his gaze over to Hector. You're perfect for this place. Me? I'm going to see the world. You can waste your whole life wandering only to find that what you're searching for is right in your own backyard. I return. I didn't make that up. That's what it says on the gazebo in Serenity Park. It's kind of the town motto. Tori and I are working on a picture book based on it called Your Own Backyard. My mom is a teacher at the school and she's going to set it up so we can read it to the lower grade kids when we're done. If it's any good, naturally. By this time, Randy looks terrified and I feel guilty. Here we are, talking about how the outside world is unlivable and that's where he's going. But what can we say? That it's just as good as Serenity? That's another. Outsiders do that we don't. They lie. Malik notices it too. Trust me, Randy. You're the lucky one. If the rest of the world is so bad, how come so many people live there? There are like 7 billion of them, and only 185 of us. Case closed. Malik is infuriating. But one of the things we learn in school is that anger is the emotion of a lesser person. So I just smile. You know it doesn't work. It's that way. How do you know it doesn't? Before I can answer, my mom rings the handbell to call us in for math, which is our first afternoon class except on Tuesdays, when we have science, and Thursdays, when we have contentment. It's a full schedule when you add in social studies, meditation, and gym. We're in the middle of the water polo unit now because Serenity Day is coming up. We always cap off the celebration with the big game. It's my favorite holiday of the year. I lead the group back into the building. When your mother is a teacher, you have to be just a little better than everybody else. It's a lot of pressure to be the best behaved, the most involved, and to get the highest grades. That's why I make lists of everything I need to do. It helps me stay focused. Control is key. Example: when we reach the classroom, there's always a basket of desserts on the teacher's desk, cookies, cupcakes. Today it's donuts. We're supposed to take only one, but it's on the honor system. Mom's still outside, so nobody's watching us. I'm 2 pounds off my goal weight, so I don't take any. Tori helps herself to one, like most of the kids. Hector takes a donut, and when nobody's looking, he sneaks another half. Malik, Heinal is about to fall. He's proud of himself too, standing at the basket, grinning smugly, lips smacking, icing staining his fingers. When Mom comes in for the afternoon, he's practically daring her to call him out. Malik thinks he's so cool because he breaks rules, but he's not as smart as he thinks he is, especially when it comes to the world outside Serenity. In fact, I know a lot more about it than he does. It happened a few months ago. Tori and I were in the park working on Your Own Backyard. She had to go, but I stayed to practice my pliés, since I was 20 minutes short on ballet that day. Control, remember? Anyway, I was right by the Serenity Cup, which is this huge silver trophy, on permanent display on a pedestal in the center of the park. It's our town's pride and joy, presented by President Roosevelt way back when Serenity was founded in 1937. It sits in a plexiglass case, and nobody ever walks through the park without checking it out, even though we've all seen it a million times. So that day, I look at it for time number 1,000,001, and there's something I've never noticed before, a padlock through a little hasp in the corner of the case. Then I spot the work crew, 2 men in heavy boots. One is up a ladder, and the second is holding it steady. They appear to be snipping branches off an overgrown sycamore tree. Here's the thing though, they're not from here. Everybody in Serenity knows everybody else, except maybe some of purple people eaters. But I've never seen these guys before. Sure enough, there's a pickup truck parked by the side of the roadway. Ray's Tree Service, Taos, New Mexico, is stenciled on the door. I have an astounding thought. Did they lock the case because they're afraid one of these strangers might steal the Serenity Cup? We've all heard the horror stories about other places, but this is the first time it's ever crossed my mind that outsiders might bring their dishonest ways here. Even though I'm nervous, I'm also a little intrigued. Meeting new people doesn't happen very often. There are only 184 possible choices, and I already know almost all of them. Now, almost all of them. I decide to go over and introduce myself. Hi, I'm Amber. One says hi back. The other tells me, we're working here, kid. Not in a mean way, but the way adults sometimes talk when they're too busy to be bothered with you. I guess I look a little wounded, because he adds, watch your head. There are branches coming down. I wouldn't want you to get hurt. There are branches coming down. I wouldn't want you to get hurt. Oh, right. Thanks. I suppose it's nice of him to look out for my safety. I retreat a few steps toward the truck, and that's when I notice the newspaper on the driver's seat. It's something called USA Today, a newspaper for the whole country. People in Serenity read the Pax, which is published right here. This paper must be big in Taos, and maybe other places, since it says USA. Suddenly, I'm staring at the headline. Actor's death ruled murder. I turn to the 3 guys. What's murder? They stare at me like I'm some exotic cockroach that just crawled up out off the ground. The ladder holder says, "Seriously? I've never seen that word before." I explain. "What does it mean?" The man in the tree snorts a laugh. "Murder is having to prune branches on a hot day." "Tell me about it," his partner chimes in. I can tell they're laughing at me, and I'm embarrassed, although I don't really know why, so I change my tactic. "Can I have your newspaper?" "Oh, sure, kid. Knock yourself out, and while you're at it, you'd better go get yourself a dictionary." I reach in the driver's side window and pick up the USA Today. My eyes are drawn back to the lead story. It began as a grisly mystery, blood-stained walls in a queer Hollywood hotel suite, a Browning pistol still clutched in the victim's limp hand, a famous face contorted in death. Also, heads up. A leafy branch hits the ground at my feet, and I scramble out of there, calling, "Thanks for the paper." I can feel the newsprint crackling in my poor hands, almost as if there's an electric current running through it. It's clear to me that I'm holding something powerful and important, although I have no idea how I know this. When I get home, I hide the USA Today in the garage between the spare air conditioner filters. I'm not sure why I don't show it to my parents, especially my mom. We're really close, since I see her all day at school, and then all night at home. I don't even tell Tori, and we're practically two halves of the same person. I know that keeping secrets is like chiseling at the mortar between bricks in a wall, but this feels different. This is uniquely mine, so I have this urge to keep it for myself. Over the next few days, I read that paper from cover to cover, soaking up every word. Some of the stories are the same as what the Pax print stuff about the president and the sports scores, but that's where the similarity ends. Put it this way, I know what murder is now. They also call it homicide, another word I never heard before. Our parents are always reminding us how lucky we are to be spared the kind of problems they have in other places, but that's not the same as seeing it spelled out in black and white, reading the descriptions of the crime. Scenes, hearing about the victims and their poor families, following the police. Officers who make the arrests, and the court cases where criminals are brought to justice. And it's not an occasional thing either. I count 7 people dying because of murder, just in one USA Today. There are even more robberies, and sometimes the murders and the robberies happen together. There are other things we never read about in the packs, things like wars, kidnappings, riots, and acts of terrorism. Every time I put my USA Today back in its hiding place, my head is spinning with more questions. What kind of people would do such horrible things? There's nobody like that in Serenity. What if murder comes here? Is that why there are so many purple people eaters? And why they have their own helicopter to protect us from all this? I calm myself down with a little meditation. It's more proof that our
parents did the right thing by raising us here, where we're safe.
One thing bothers me though. Why doesn't the Pax print the bad stories that are in USA Today? Is it because we don't have to worry about things like murder? Just because we live here doesn't mean we shouldn't know about the outside world. What about someone like poor Randy? When he gets to his grandparents, will he be ready? I agree that USA Today is upsetting, but it feels really honest. At dinner that night, my mother brings up the subject of Randy moving to Colorado. "How did the kids react?" she asks. "It must be hard to lose a friend you've known for so long." "Yeah, I agree. It's murder." My father drops his fork with a clatter. Mom stares at me. "Where would you pick up a horrible word like that?" "From the newspaper." "Hasela, from the newspaper." Dad frowns. "Don't be dishonest, Amber. The Pax would never." It wasn't the Pax. It was in USA Today. But how? For an instant, my mother's voice rises sharply. Then she catches herself, and when she speaks again, she sounds calm. "I'm a little surprised that you found an outside newspaper. The Pax is all we read around. Here, it's there. There were these 3 trimmers in the park. It feels good to get it off my chest after so long. They gave it to me." "When was this?" my father probes. "A pretty long time ago." My parents share a meaningful look. I'm thinking, are they mad at me? I never actually lied, but it's pretty obvious that I didn't go out of my way to tell them about it. But no, Mom's not angry, just interested. "Well, did you learn anything?" from it? I know. I learned how lucky we are to live in Serenity. Things to do today. On prioritize. Piano practice, 1.5 hours. Ballet practice, 1 hour. This pro. Finish contentment essay. Tell Tori about USA Today. It's funny once mom and dad know about my newspaper, it seems. Crazy that I never told Tori about it. What could I have been thinking? It just confirms what we learn in contentment, that the mind has a way of tricking you into thinking you're doing the right thing when you're not. The truth is, I was keeping a secret. It's a slippery slope. Mom's still at school, so Tori and I have the house to ourselves. My father's a Oncho at the factory, and he's usually not home until dinner. Let's go for a swim, she suggests. Work on our stamina for the bigger game. Okay, but first I want to show you something cool. I lead the way into the garage and duck behind the shelving unit where we keep the spare filters. One by one, I lift them up. My USA Today is gone. Well, Tori prompts. Weird, for 4 months I've kept that paper hidden, and now that I'm finally ready to show it to somebody, it turns out I've lost it. How careless can you get? Forget it, I tell her. Let's put our suits on. 3. Malik Bruder. I can't wait to move to NYC when I'm older. I'm going to live on the 60th floor of a skyscraper, eat junk food all day long, and who knows, maybe even get a motorcycle. The only thing more depressing than living in Happy Valley is having to celebrate it. In school, we all have to work on special projects for Serenity Day, which is the holiday where we commemorate the founding of this wonderful community. Sarcasm intended. Ever notice that everything around here is Serenity something? Serenity Park, Serenity Square, Serenity Cup. I should rename my toilet the Serenity Bowl. Anyway, Serenity Day is a big deal. The entire population turns out, which reminds me of a medium-sized wedding on a television show. We drink lemonade and eat hot dogs, and listen to speeches about how great our town is, and how lucky we are to live here. The activities would be kinda cool if you were about 6 three-legged race, beanbag toss, real primetime stuff. And Happy Valley is so backward, they can't even get that right. Last year in Ring Toss, they gave me a set of rings as wide as hula hoops. I was wiping up the competition until Amber started complaining it was unfair. Oh, that Laska. When it comes to fun, she's kind of like kryptonite. Whatever. The hot dogs aren't bad. Happy Valley is so small that the town officials are basically just our parents. Mr. Frieden is the mayor. My mother is the comptroller, in charge of all the finances. Hector's mom is the recording secretary. You get the picture.
Not only are the speeches lame, but they're delivered by people who are
normally reminding you to floss or take out the garbage. The highlight of the day is the big water polo match between Team Solidarity and Team Community. Actually, that part's pretty good. Water polo is just about the only chance to take out some of my frustration at living here. I accomplished this by aiming the ball at my opponent's heads. I wouldn't exactly call it textbook strategy, but then again I wouldn't exactly call Happy Valley a town either. Believe it or not, people get pretty rah-rah about water polo around here, because the season syncs up with Serenity Day. Nobody gets this excited about our other 3 sports, badminton, gymnastics, and croquet, but it can be pretty wild at the pool when community and solidarity battle it out.
Hector's parents always cheer the loudest.
I think they're just thrilled that he's made it through another big game without drowning. Don't get me wrong, I love Hector. Driving Hector crazy is my favorite form of entertainment. All the dovey chores my parents cook up for me, he does them. No complaints, just to hear me say thanks. I can't say that too often though. Don't want to spoil the guy. I haven't had to cut the grass, rake leaves, or pick up some random thing at the store in years. Hector's the ultimate school accessory too. He did a great job on my research paper on tigers. It got a B+, which isn't bad for me. Any higher, and Mrs. Laska might get suspicious. Good old Hector. I guess what I'm saying is he's fun to have around. And fun is hard to come by in Serenity, New Mexico. The most boring pimple on the rocky butt of the Southwest. Not that I have anything to compare it to. I've never been past the city limits. And I use the word city very generously. Wherever I go, I can count on Hector trailing along. Poor kid, when I ride my skateboard, he has to sprint. He sweats a lot. I try not to let him see. Me laughing. Then there's the day I look over my shoulder and the little shrimp's coming around the corner, struggling along on a skateboard of his own. He rides it like he has one leg instead of two. Or maybe it has square wheels. His
Parents don't seem to like him very much. It's kind of sad. They probably
bought him a lousy one. He looks terrified that he's going to kill himself. The only thing keeping him going is the hope that I'm going to see him and be impressed. Malik, back here. I pretend not to hear. Hey, wait up. It goes on like this for a while. His pleas for attention grow more desperate as he runs out of breath. Eventually I figure he's had enough, so I stop. The goofy grin on his face, as he finally rolls up, is totally worth it. I got a skateboard. So what? We get everything we want in Serenity. Pools, trampolines, video game systems. I remember when we were 6, we got those big electric cars. Mine was the Hummer. Hector went for some kind of Mercedes. This in a community where you can walk from one side to the other in 8 minutes. Bah. Max, even on first grade legs. We should be the poster town for spoiling your kids. Maybe that's why contentment is one of our main classes at school. I wonder how they teach contentment in places where kids don't have as much stuff.
Now he's waiting, dying for me to say something, so I don't.
He pushes. What do you think? About what? He gets shy. I figured you could give me some pointers, you know. Because you're so good. That gives me an idea. Follow me. With a few pumps of my leg, I'm up. To full speed. Leading him on an obstacle course through the hardest streets in town, rough road surfaces, speed bumps, sewer gratings. The houses glide by, white and immaculate, not a shadow out of position. The lawns are groomed and green, the flower beds well tended and perfect. Even the pink flamingos have been freshly power washed. It's like an insult to manhood. I glance over my shoulder and feel a twinge of something close to pride. Hector's following way behind, but give him props. He's following. I've got one more card up my sleeve, and it's the Ace of Spades. I wheel around the circle onto Fellowship Avenue, which runs past the plastics factory. The thing is, Fellowship is the steepest hill in town. It took me years to get up the
courage to attempt it on a skateboard. There's no way a newbie like Hector
can handle it. I fly down the grade, grooving on the wind, which is strong enough to cut into the heat of the day. Then I turn and look up. The least I can do is wait at the bottom to pick up the pieces as they land. Hector hesitates, but only for a second. Then he's on the way down, his body straight as a poker, his arms windmilling for balance as the board accelerates. I almost wish he would fall off now, before he picks up enough speed for it to be a total wipeout. My dad's the local doctor. But he doesn't need me to drum up business. With a click, the factory's long electronic rear gate slides open, and a double white flatbed truck begins to nose out into the street. The payload piled high with orange traffic cones, hundreds of them, maybe thousands. It's a familiar sight around Serenity, a shipment of cones heading out of. The truck tries to turn up Fellowship, but it's too long, so the driver has to take another cut. That's when I realize that the whole street is blocked, and there's no way Hector is going to be able to stop a speeding skateboard in time. Hector, jump.
Doesn't it figure? All day he's been trying to get me to talk to him, and
now he's too petrified to listen. Although I probably would be too, if I was hurtling at terminal velocity toward a giant truck. I hop off my board and start up the slope, sprinting flat out. I know a pride moment of real fear when I see how fast he's coming, but it's too late to think about that now. It's my fault he's on this hill to begin with. I can't let him get killed. Jump, idiot.
He's frozen like a statue.
I slip past the transport before the driver backs up again for the second cut. I line the kid up and snatch him bodily off his board, which rolls under the truck and keeps on going. The two of us hit the pavement hard, somersaulting one over the other. We take a pretty big beating, bumping and scraping along the pavement. At one point, I see that my shirt is covered in
blood, and I kind of panic before I realize that it's coming from Hector's nose. The driver jumps out of the truck and comes over to see if we're still
alive. Are you okay? Don't you know it's dangerous to skateboard down a indoor hill like that? The guy seems to think that I was the one who almost got killed,
since I've got the most blood on me. But Hector looks pretty bad too, and his nose is still gushing. He struggles to his feet, steadying himself against the side of the truck and bleeding all over a stack of cones. 3 big sneezes spray gore over a wide area. The driver is worried. Maybe I should call the surety. That's all we have to hear. We're right by the factory. So there must be purple people eaters just on the other side of the gate. Those guys creep me out. And who knows the penalty for bleeding on their precious traffic cones. It's okay, mister. Hector sniffles. We're fine. Well, what do you know? Shrimp has the brains to be cool about something. We both get up, sidestep the truck, and run after our skateboards. At the bottom of the slope, we pick up our boards and walk. Hector is impressed. Do you believe that? We bled together, like blood brothers. I have to laugh. If you don't shut up, I'm going to take you back to the ground. Top of the hill. His nose twitches. And don't sneeze on me. You want me to get sick? I don't have a cold. Didn't you see how dusty those cones were? I'm allergic. Being a wimp doesn't count as an allergy. I learned 2 things that day. First, never skateboard with Hector Amani. I love messing with the kid and all that, but he's such a spaz that he's going to get himself killed one of these days, and I don't want that to be on. Meh. Second, the Serenity Plastics Works is about as intelligently run as everything else in this one-horse town. Whenever I see one of those trucks, now I check it out. Hector's right, those cones really are covered in dust. Who knows how long their product sits around before they bother to ship it out? This is the factory that's supposed to be our claim to fame. Those cones aren't just dusty, they're dirty. On one of the trucks, there's this dark, crusty stuff on some of them. If I didn't know better, I'd swear it's Hector's nosebleed. But all that happened days ago. 4. Eli Freden. There's something different about Randy, and it isn't just because he's leaving. He never comes to see me in the clinic, even though I'm there 2 nights. I knew you were okay, is his shrugged explanation when I finally get the nod over to his house. What's the point of us hanging around the hospital bed, listening to Bruder's lame jokes? If it happened to you, I'd be there in a heartbeat. I almost blurt. I'm sort of hurt. When Randy broke his ankle last year, I spent even more time than usual at the Hardaways because I felt bad for him being all cooped up. We even invented a new challenge crotchball home run derby. That's always been the best part of being best friends with Randy. You spend 80% of your time laughing. He can make a game out of anything. I had visions of us racing up and down the hall, me on the wheeled ivy stand, and him on a rolling instrument cart. Or something even crazier. There's no limit to the guy's creativity. But now he doesn't even meet my eyes. I have to pack. I'll help. I offer. No good. My mom's driving me nuts with it. She's got everything in. These color-coded boxes. It's a train wreck up there. I still don't understand why you have to go at all. Yeah, tell me about it. I can tell I've hit a nerve, so I try to cheer him up. Well, we should definitely get in a couple of challenges before you leave. How about the truck tire scooter jump? We never quite nailed that one. Just for a moment, the old Randy shows up. His eyes dance. It occurred to me to stick the boomerang back in the pool filter for old time's sake. I wouldn't even be here to get in trouble for it. I sigh. At least you'll be with your grandparents. He looks at me as if I have a cabbage for a head. Randy, did you remember to pack your Mrs. Hardaway? Comes up behind her son and fixes me with an unreadable expression. Anger, resentment, fear, even. I'm taken aback. It isn't my fault her parents need help on their farm. That's what's sending Randy away, not me. Then she stuns me even more. Sorry, Ellie, but Randy has a lot of things to do before he's ready. In other words, get lost. My best friend is being shipped off to Colorado, and I'm barely going to have the chance to say goodbye. We throw Randy a going-away party at school with a frozen yogurt cake and his favorite chips, fiery jalapeno and lime. There are only 30 kids in the whole town, 19 of us in the upper school classroom, so it isn't exactly a big blowout. One of the unique things about Serenity is that we're all like a family. Dad says in his capacity as principal. He chuckles. There are some extended families larger than our entire population. But when one of our own moves on, it's like we're losing a brother or a nephew. It leaves an empty space that's impossible to fill. We'll miss you, Randy. I find myself suddenly annoyed. In the past, Dad has mentioned at least 50 times how much he wished there was another school in town, so Randy could go to it. That's not going to come close to missing Randy, isn't that? Almost like lying? Mrs. Laska speaks next, but she says some nice things. You can tell she really means. At the end, she gives Randy a big hug and actually tears up little. Speech, calls Stanley Cole, and a few others join in. Randy's face is bright red. Who says I like jalapeno chips? Even Dad smiles at that one. Tori Pritel sits down beside me. I've never seen Randy so embarrassed. You can't embarrass Randy. Remember the time he ran out of bathing? Suits, so he played water polo in boxers? I study the floor. Then again. What? Do I know? She turns in surprise, her long dark hair shifting on her shoulders. You should know more than anybody. You guys are best friends. You think so, right? I should probably keep my mouth shut, but there's something about Tori that puts me at ease. With Amber, you always feel like you're being judged. With Malik, you're afraid he'll make fun of you. Or worse, file it away so he can use it against you later. Tori's the opposite. Every time I go over to Randy's, it's the same story. I have to pack. How? Much packing can anybody do? Lewis and Clark didn't pack this much. He's avoiding me. He's sad. You're sad, she contends. Nobody ever leaves town, so we're extra sensitive to any change. Remember how weird it was when Mrs. Delaney got here? Mrs. Delaney is our water polo coach. She's super nice and also a great source of information about the outside world. She came to town about 6 months ago when she married one of the purple people eaters. Maybe, I concede, but that doesn't explain everything. Like why all this is happening so fast. I barely heard Randy even mention his grandparents before, have you? I'm in the clinic for 2 days, and suddenly he's going to live with them? I'm guessing the Hardaways have been considering this for a long time. Tori reasons. They just didn't tell Randy because they didn't want to worry him. You know how parents are. So when the decision gets made, it seems like it's coming out of nowhere. But it's really been brewing a while. Tori doesn't get great grades in school, but she's really smart in a common sense way. Not that it helps me feel any better. Nothing will except Randy, announcing that he isn't moving after all. The party fizzles. Randy has no appetite, which saddles us with a lot of cum. Uneat and chips. Dad has a solution. You can each have one more bag. We trust you not to. Take more than your fair share. He escorts Mrs. Laska out of the room. Amber scowls at Malik, who already has a huge armload. We're on the 4-pin. His honor system. Malik stuffs a fistful into his mouth. Guess that makes me the most honorable guy in town. I look over at Randy. His expression never changes. The next day is Saturday, departure day. Although in my mind, Randy's already gone. I'm done banging my head against the wall. Numbness has begun to set in. Still, I get up early to watch them load the car, which doesn't even appear. So full after all that packing. In a way, everything seems totally normal. The Hardaways are going for a drive, something they do occasionally. The only difference is that this time, when they come back, Randy won't be with them. He looks pale, and there's no life in his eyes. His parents seem none too happy themselves, and his little sister is crying. I'm trying to swallow a lump in my throat the size of a bowling ball. It's so awkward. There's no hugging or handshakes. Instead, I give him a piece of paper with my email address on it. In case you forget, he probably never knew it. We live a grand total of 100 yards away from each other. Correction, we used to. Let's go, Randy, his father announces. It's getting late. They get in the car. He hasn't even said goodbye. The car pulls away from the court. Suddenly, he rolls his window down. I'll write. I point to the paper in his fist. Don't lose my email address. I'll write, he repeats as if it's the most urgent thing in the world, and I was too stupid to understand the first time. Think of it as our newest challenge. Like a few messages back and forth can replace nearly 14 years of friendship. As the car makes the turn onto Old County 6, I wave. I couldn't have said anything if I wanted to.
Now that Randy's gone, it's like the counter on my whole life has been reset.
Everything is measured by the moment the Hardaway's car disappeared. There's the first night without Randy, the first weekend without Randy. I can't remember the last time I walked to school alone. It's less than a quarter. Mile, but it feels longer without the company. The shared jawns and jokes. About purple people eaters driving by in their pickups. The rapid-fire plop of a fistful of cottonwood seeds splashing into somebody's pool isn't nearly as satisfying when there's no one to hear it with you. When you spend 13 years with the same 2.5 dozen kids, losing somebody's like cutting off a finger, especially when it's your best friend. At lunch, Amber and Tori are eating together, and Malik, Hector, and Stanley are at one of the picnic tables. Just beyond them are Melanie Brandt and the Fowler twins. It's probably been like this for years, but I never noticed because I was always paired up myself. After school comes the first water polo practice without Randy. The pool feels empty somehow, which makes no sense because the same number of us are in the water at any given time. I'm not the only one missing Randy. He was Team Community's best player. Mrs. Delaney makes me his replacement, which means I have to go up against Malik, who plays the game like a great white shark with elbows. If you want to be on the winning side on Serenity Day this year, root for Solidarity. Everyone's already in the locker rooms. I linger poolside, dripping on the towel in my lap. I can't seem to work up the enthusiasm to wrap it around me. Randy and I always used to race a couple of lengths after practice. I'm not about to do it alone, but all habits die hard. I'm aware of a shifting of weight on the bench, and I see that Mrs. Delaney has sat down beside me. This must be hard for you, she says, sympathetically. Malik's really good, strong, and when he can't score on you, he just aims the ball at your face. I guess I look surprised, because she grins. You think I missed that? I played in college, you know. Division 1. 2 things about Mrs. Delaney. She's a lot younger than most of the previous parents in town, so she remembers what it's like to be a kid. And she's new, so the way things are done in Serenity isn't the whole world to her. But that's not what I meant, she goes on. You must be missing Randy. Does it show? Not really, she says. It's a lie, but she's doing it to be nice. You know, in most places, people pick up and move constantly. It's the normal thing too, though. I lost friends that way. 6 times either their families moved or I mine did. You get used to it. Not here, you don't. True, she admits. Of course, Serenity is not so easy to get used to. Either. I'm from Philadelphia, so I never dreamed I'd live in such an isolated place. But then I married Brian, so I found a way. Brian. It amazes me every time I hear it. There's a purple people eater. Name it Brian. Just like they're human or something. For the millionth time I think of Randy. It's hard enough to imagine your teacher having a life outside of school. Throw one of the surety into the mix, and it's really through the looking. Class. Mrs. Delaney once told the class that she met her husband on vacation in Cancun. I'll never shake the picture of this beautiful beach with people swimming and sunbathing, and in the middle of everything there's this purple people eater in full dress uniform, complete with boots and beret. Maybe he double-parked his helicopter by the tiki bar. I have to ask, what are the surety guys like when they're not on duty? She gives me a mischievous grin, which makes her appear even younger. That's classified, mister. Classified? You know, she explains, like government secrets. She stares at me, puzzled that I don't understand. It's not honest to keep secrets, I say. Sometimes things have to be kept from us for our own good, like national security. If the president told everybody his plan for that, he'd also be telling the enemy. I'm even more confused. Who's the enemy? She looks flustered. Well, there isn't one now. I'm just explaining why. Certain information has to be classified. She manages to regain her composure a little. Like your teacher's private life, for example. Your need for honesty stops at my front door. I can feel my face burning red. Sorry, but I'm more confused than embarrassed. That says the need for honesty never stops. I stand up. I should go change. I start for the locker room. I can tell you one thing about the surety, she calls after me. I turn around. They know you kids call them purple people eaters. I think they kind of like it.